Welcome back, everyone, to our next session of the Gita Odyssey. I know that we covered Shloka 26 and 27 in the previous session. Unfortunately, we couldn't record, and so many people were asking. So we will quickly recap Shloka 26 and 27, and then we will touch 28. So this is the agenda. So the first portion is mainly a recap, and then we will go to the next Shloka. As always, I'll cover the first 30 minutes and Avanti is going to cover the second 30 minutes. So a quick recap. The first thing is we wanted to ground where we are. When you look at the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there are 6 topics covered in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I'll share the slides so you will have this beautiful infographic. So the first Shloka 1 to 10 is the fundamental human problem, which we recapped. And then Shloka 11 to 25 is essentially the Atma Jnana or the self-knowledge. Essentially, who am I? What am I? And the third portion is Shloka 26 to 29. It is a very practical approach. You're not talking about the Atma or highest Vedanta from a complete practical perspective. How to approach life's challenges. So the first portion, Shloka 11 to 20, talked about how to approach the life's challenges from a highest Vedantic, grounded on the Vedantic knowledge. And whereas Shloka 26 to 29 is teaching us how to approach the life's challenges in a very practical way. And then Shloka 30 to 33 is talking about the same life challenges. How do you approach that challenges from the perspective of Swadharma, my duty? What is that dharma is going to tell me as an individual how to approach my duties? And then the last one is completely materialistic reasons. Krishna is addressing one problem in 4 different angles. One is from the highest Vedantic spiritual perspective. Second one is a completely practical approach. The third one is from a dharmic approach. And the last one is materialistic approach. So that is 34 to 37. And then the next topic covered in the chapter is karma yoga. Like after establishing, you have to do your duty from a Vedantic perspective, practical perspective, dharmic perspective, and materialistic perspective. He is teaching us how to do the duty. That is, Shloka 38 to 53 is briefly touching upon the Karma Yoga. In the third chapter, we are going to see that. And then finally, the last portion is if at all, like you are self-realized person, if at all you are established in that Atma Jnana, which was taught on the Shloka 11 to 25, which is presented as the permanent solution for all the problem. Every other thing is temporary, like duct tape solutions. The permanent solution is the self-knowledge. So when you achieve that, are you going to be completely indifferent to the world? This is the whole idea of the second chapter. So if you remember this one infographics, that gives the whole blueprint of the 7 key topic. I mentioned 6, it is 7. 7 key topics covered in the 6th chapter. So here we covered topic 1 and 2 already, and we started topic 3. Topic 3 is a practical approach to life's challenges. Like it's a shift in the perspective. Earlier it was a completely spiritual perspective. Now we are talking about the practical and logic. So the focus is on the control. What you can control, what choices you have, what actions you have, what attitude you can control, and what you cannot control. Like what you can control is your choice, your actions, your attitude, your response. And what you cannot control is the birth, death, and things that are not in your control. The geopolitical situation, it's not in your control. But how do you respond to that? How do you make choices? How do you act? What should be your attitude? That's completely in my control. So Krishna's approach here is focus on what you can control and pray for the rest. And this is constructive action. Accept the inevitable, channel the energy into the present duties rather than being paralyzed by the anxiety. This is the essence of these shlokas from 26 to 29. And Krishna even tell, like, you may not have the full picture what exactly is going to be your destination. In that situation, just take the next one or two steps that are very clear. What is the most appropriate? So that type of practical advice is given. So in Shloka 26, Atha chetam tadapi tvam mahabahu naivam shochitum arhasi. This was Shloka 26. So here the idea is, in the material world, change and impermanence are only the changeless factors. And accepting this reality in the face of gain and loss, and facing that with a kind of an understanding, by cultivating strength and clarity, you can rise above the fear and sorrow. This is the message of Shloka 26. This is a kind of a practical worldly view. He tells that, like, life simply begins, even if you take that the life simply begins at the birth and ends at the death, even though you don't believe in our Atma, even though you don't believe in subtle body, Sukshma Sharira, and even then, you don't need to, like, worry about doing the thing, because even if you accept the materialism, still there is no point in not doing the duty and getting into perpetual sufferings. That is the whole idea. In Shloka 27, which is one of the most favorite Shloka and very practical Shloka, he tells, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu, dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Thus, how much success you are going to have, how much money you are going to have, how much children you are going to have, how many countries you are going to visit, how many years you are going to live, all that is a variable. But one thing is true, certain. The moment you are born, one thing is certain, you will die. So that's what is. Jatasya he dhruv, they will born again, logically speaking. Otherwise, meaning that is what it is. Therefore, tasmat apariharyarti. When you know that the death is certainty, natvam shochitum arhasi. There is no need of perpetual suffering. So the whole idea is, even if life is seen as a beginning and an end with a death, the perpetual mourning is inevitable, because this cycle, meaning because that is because inevitable, because so that is the Shloka 27. Again, the whole idea is accept the inevitable, the cosmic law of cycles. Everything is born, death is certain. And for the death, birth is certain. This is the cycle. If you really look at the universe, you see a cyclic nature everywhere. Knowing this, grieving over the unavoidable cycle is like, just like when a sunset happens, if you cry, there is no pointing, because that is the laws of the nature. Your body is subjected to decay and death, and there is no way even avatars has to go. So understand that. That is when that understanding happens, like, you can look at the life in a new perspective. So that total acceptance, it's not a passive acceptance, helpless acceptance. It is like a acceptance with understanding that this is natural and this is the universal law that is going to help you to accept the inevitable. That is Shloka 27. And then the whole idea is, see, the entire life you can divide into two parts: what you can control and what you cannot control. As I said earlier, the choices, the actions, the attitudes, it can control, but you cannot control death, birth, and so many other things. And worrying over the uncontrollable circumstances, it paralyzes and it diverts our energy from what truly matters. You could create experiences. There is no point, good experiences, when you have this idea. So focus on what you can control and, like, leave what you cannot control. This is the message of the Bhagavad Gita. And I cannot see anything more practical than this. So channel your energy constructively into duties and where you can control, not into the anxiety over the outcomes beyond our control. There is no point. And this is the wisdom. And like in our book, we have quoted several scriptures and masters teaching on the same thing. And I just wanted to call out only the serenity prayer. The serenity prayer is very popular on this particular. Control what you can and pray, face what you cannot, and have the wisdom to understand what you can control and what you cannot control. So this is a very practical in our day-to-day relevance. For example, professional setback, market downturn, meaning downturns. At that time, focus on developing the skills and networking and seeing new opportunities. If you really look at our book, we have given examples, like very practical examples there. Professional setbacks, aging and transitioning, like natural process of time is like time is going to act on our body. The body is going to change everything. So focus on living well in the present and make use of every day you live. Swami Vivekananda used to say, man dies but once, but the cowards lives dies every day they live. We don't want to be like that. And then it creates a lot of frustration when you cannot accept the inevitables, and just develop that serenity prayer mindset. It is going to help us to live a good life. So this is the essence of this shloka, like immutable fact of existence. Everything born, death is certain. And death, everything died, the birth is certain. So we talked about the sunset analogy. Like it is like the sun will go down, but the next morning it will come up. And denial resistance is a problem. And what we want is a rational composure. And the total acceptance, like that is a spiritual maturity, through the spiritual maturity. And when you do that, what happens? It will result in equanimity, it will result in productivity, it will result in better experience. So the whole idea is resistance versus acceptance. Resisting the inevitable, it only creates stress, anxiety, and worry. So endure what cannot be cured. This is the key message. I think I talked about this a lot. I think I have seen one master, Swami Dayananda, in his final moment, his last lecture in USA. This was the shloka he quoted. He had to be airlifted to India and his days were counted. I know that like doctors are maximum 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks he will live. So his farewell speech to the people in USA was like he was cracking jokes after jokes. Actually, he was under a very painful situation and he was making jokes and jokes. And this is the shloka he was talking about. Jadasya tasmat apariharyarthi natvam shochitum. And with a lot of fun, he said, like, in 2 weeks, you will hear the news that I passed away. You should not, uh, like, if you respect my teaching, the life has to move on. I had my life. I lived around 85 years. That is much more than the average of a human being. Only 1% of the people live that life. And I am so happy. So don't worry, etc. How can you speak when your days are 2 weeks ahead? That is the strength. This is exactly the living example. I've personally seen that. That's why I'm sharing this. So the next shloka, avyakta deni bhutani, vyakta mathyani bharata, avyakta nithananyeva, tatraka paridevana. This is a continuation of the same topic he was establishing earlier. O Bharata, Arjuna, avyakta deni bhutani. The living beings comes from unmanifest. 100 years before, none of us were manifested in this world. In the beginning, we were completely unmanifest. In between, we got manifested. So between 50 to 80 years time, all of us sitting here got manifested into this world. in the next 50 to 100 years, none of us would be there in this world. Avyakta nidhana nyeva. So in the beginning, we were not manifested. He didn't use the word you are not there, right? So he used a very careful word. He was not manifested. Paridevana. There is no need for perpetual suffering over this. Again, practical advice. So, O Bharata, that is, all the living beings were not present before birth and not continued to their current form after death. So, the manifestation of any particular physical form in this world is momentary along with the inexhaustible cosmic timeline. Even the greatest figures in this universe, like the Krishna, Rama, Arjuna, Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, everybody has came and gone. So that's what it is. Even the greatest figures who left lasting impact on the history of the world have come and gone. Understanding the existential play of appearance and disappearance, there is no reason for perpetual grief over the impermanence of the worldly form. Again, this is such a practical shloka which we all can relate to. So the whole idea is the fleeting nature of life. Living being exists in an unmanifested state before birth and manifest briefly during the physical life and return to the unmanifest after the death. Our current existence is a momentary flicker along with the inexhaustible cosmic timeline. So life is an arrow shot from the darkness, flutters in the present, and while vanishes back to the darkness, Matthew Arnold said. In the Mahabharata also, the same shloka is there. The like there is a shloka which tells, we came from unseen and we return to that unseen. This is a true fact. So the futility of the grief, accepting the unknown, we do not know from where we came at the birth and where we go after the death. Grieving over this inevitable is pointless. And the illusion of permanence. We think that we are permanently here for all the time. We think that the money we make is be with us always. But the fact of the matter is, it is just like in a dream. Whatever money you make in the dream, it is good for the dream. That's it. Beyond the dream, it is useless. Like that, money, the energy, the relationship, everything is only good for this life. That's it. So that doesn't mean that you don't need all these things. You need all these things because you have to live this life before the next. So first focus on that, but understanding the impermanence. So Krishna's logical question is Tatra ka paridevana. It's a what is the point there to continuously grieve over this? That's the whole idea. So focus on the present. Again, that is the whole message. The past and future remain entirely beyond our perception and control. So focus on the current. That's it. So Swami Ramatirtha used to say, your duty in life is to be cheerful. This is what the message of this shloka. So this infographic clearly shows the essence of the shloka. The beginning, it was unmanifest, like an arrow, and then in between, it manifest, arrow through the darkness, it was not visible, and in between, it was visible, manifest in the middle, and finally, it goes to the unmanifested state. And the logic of peace is the illusion of permanence. We think that life is permanent. That is illusion. The futility of the grief. We think that we cannot perceive the beginning and end. Worrying over that is completely illogical. And our duty is to be cheerful. This is the infographics completely grounded on our facts. And that is what I wanted to cover. So that covers up to Shloka 28. And now let me give that to Avanti. Look at this infographics. It's so good. It's exactly from what we have written.
Namaskar. So I'm not going to go over Shloka 26 and 27 in detail because we spent an hour on both those shlokas and we went into quite a great depth of that. But I will say a couple of things that we perhaps left out, we just gleaned over. The first thing is that serenity prayer. It's there in the book. It's written in the book. But please understand the serenity prayer very, very deeply. If you look at our life's problems, any of them, pick any problem that you have, you will realize it's a problem only because you are putting all your energy, you're investing all your energy in something that is way beyond your control. You want life to be a certain way, and that's great. And you work towards making that life a certain way. But oftentimes you'll see that against the tide, you are not able to do that. So to be able to understand when to stop that effort and look somewhere else is the key in mastering any teaching of the Gita. That famous quote which says, I knocked at the closed door so hard for so long that I completely missed all the other doors that were open. Now, please put your hand on your heart and see, throughout life till now, how many times have you kept wrestling with things that could not be changed, that were not in your control, and you wasted time? I for sure have. There were so many situations in my life that I could have just looked somewhere and focused my prana on that. But I insisted that no, this thing that cannot be changed, I'm going to continue to wrestle with it. And I wasted all my time with that. So the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the ability to change the things I can. But above all, and this is the teaching of the Gita, viveka, discrimination, discerning. Above all, grant me the wisdom to know the difference. So I won't even beat us to the ground saying that we are focusing on all the wrong things. We do not know what is the right thing. So it starts from there. And for that, you have to go through the Gita completely to be even able to understand yourself. My teacher says this again and again and again. Any problem you take of your life, it boils down to only two things and two things alone. The first thing is no understanding of the self. I'm not talking about the Atma. Understanding that self is the ultimate solution to everything. So leave that aside. But no understanding of your body, of your mind, of your intellect, of your vasanas, none. The day he made us sit down and write down all our desires, I had a booklet of desires. And then when we went through the Gita over and over and over and over and over again, by the end of the 6-year course, I couldn't even fill a page. Think about it. What are your desires? And where are you putting your effort? That will make the whole difference. Another important thing in this particular shloka in 26, or previous to that actually, the wonderful introduction that Rajeshji gave of how Krishna uses all different tactics. Right now, what is the problem? Arjuna is on the floor. And Krishna is using all sorts of tactics to somehow pick him up from that chariot floor and make him fight. This is not Arjuna's problem. So when we look at our relationships and we see somebody faltering, again, two reasons why all our problems is. One is no understanding of ourselves. Second reason is no assessment of the world. What is the world needing and what am I giving? So this particular shloka very distinctly teaches us of how to understand who stands before us and what is going to work. Generally, now with Arjuna, with the mastermind of Vyasa, he's used all the techniques because he's tried to expand Arjuna into all sorts of personalities. Arjuna is only one. I'm sure he had his very strong strengths and places where Krishna could have directly hit and made him to do what he wanted him to do. But the reason he's taken all these different angles is because in the Gita, we have to find which aspect of Arjuna are we. So when somebody stands before you, you have to understand, is this person more body oriented? Will he be, picked up to act with a focus on the body? Is he physical? When you're fully invested in the body, you're more physical. I'll give you an example of that after this. Is this person standing in front of me more invested in the mind? Plays more with emotions. So then I have to speak with her through her emotions. I can't be bribing her or trying to tell her things of the material world. She's not going to get it. She needs the emotions. A child who needs you to sit them on your lap and cuddle and kiss is not going to be bribed by a chocolate or I'll take you to the circus. You understand? Whoever it is, whether it's your spouse, what do they need? Yes, we can only give what we are capable of giving, agreed. But the Gita teaches you are human being. You are capable of understanding what others need. And you're capable for providing that. If a person is intellectually oriented, fully invested in the intellect, and you're emotionally trying to say, oh, love me, no, please do me this, no, do this. It's a failed communication. Logic and reason is what will get through to that person. So masterfully, Krishna has used all these techniques. Even in chapter 3, he's used all these techniques, not for Arjuna. He knows what technique is going to work for Arjuna. But for us to realize, see in the mirror of the Bhagavad Gita, what is going to work for us. Pick that up and run. So it's a very important point of communication. Now, if you go to page number 216 in your book, there is a reflective quote. Okay, we'll read it together, and the homework is just to write the answer to this. The quote is, how do you typically respond to the idea of death? We see what the Shloka says. The Shloka says, O mighty armed Arjuna, even if you think of the Atma as constantly being born or constantly dying, you should not grieve this in this manner. That's the Shloka. Our reflective quote to you is, how do you, your death or anybody else's death, typically respond to the idea of death, your own or that of others? Can viewing death as a natural and inevitable part of life help you approach it with less fear and sorrow? If you do not go over this shloka again and again and again, the purpose of this shloka, the purpose of the Gita is defied. It's useless. Keep reading it. My teacher also says that we all have common sense, right? We all know what this shloka is saying. Everybody is born, everybody dies. It's a common thing. We all know it. But we need spiritual common sense, which comes from the Shastras, to understand it as a fact and to take it in our stride, right or wrong. So that is something that is very important to remember. Shloka number 28. Now, when we move to 27, there's nothing. Just go to the reflective quote, 222. The shloka itself says, for that which is born, jatasya, death is certain, and for the dead, birth is certain. Therefore, over the inevitable, you should not grieve. Well, please do not grieve, O Arjuna. So coming back to the reflective quote, which now you will find on 222, reflect on a time when resisting a circumstance beyond your control brought about unwarranted stress and anxiety. Remember, in the last class, we defined death not only as the death of the physical body, but any change. Anything that's changing in our life is death. And that is what we are mourning about. You're not mourning about something that you like and is constant. When that changes, bring back to your mind which were those instances when you were creating stress and anxiety because something died, something changed in your reality. How did it influence your actions in that moment? 100% we must have spent way too much time that could have been used in moving forward. And the outcome. What was the outcome? How would you approach a comparable situation in the future armored with this knowledge? Again, please write this until you are able to pick up where you are faltering, the Gita will not start showing its magic in your life. That is why we always say the protocol of the Gita is as soon as you wake up, read one verse. It'll help if you read from this book because you're studying it with us, but you could read from any Gita commentary, doesn't matter. Throughout the day, you have to try and implement what you've read. If you've thought about it enough, that will come to you again and again in your mind. So you implement it. And the most important protocol of this 3-step process is in the night, you just introspect. You just not even introspect, you just run through your day. So as you are in that liminal space between falling asleep and already asleep, just go through your day. From the moment I woke up to the moment I slept, what has happened? Just watching it as a witness, as a movie. No beating it, oh, I should have said this, oh, I shouldn't, nothing. Just watching. What this does masterfully, and the proof is in the pudding, when you do it, you'll understand, is that the intellect simply starts becoming aware of where you are faltering. When you're aware of the problem, half the problem is solved. Then the other half is just trying to reorient the mind and the body to do something else, something different. Because if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. And none of us are in this Gita class right now because our life is going phenomenally well. Somewhere we are struggling. And the beauty of it is that 99% the life is going phenomenally well, but that 1% that it's not brings us to the doors of the Gita. That's why Kunti goes to Krishna and says, Krishna, keep giving me one sorrow after the other, one sorrow after the other. Krishna is surprised. He's like, everybody comes and asks me for joy. Why are you asking me for sorrow? She's saying, because only sorrow will bring me to your doors. Only sorrow will keep me anchored to this subject. So what we have to do is not be sorrowful. In our joy, come to this subject. Every day come to this subject. Every day this becomes a part of our life. Then like Kabir says, sorrow doesn't need to only come. And even if it comes, it's not there to grind us and squeeze us and put us in a washing machine to make us learn something. We're already learning what we're meant to. That's just karma playing out. So that was verse number 27. Now verse number 28. I don't know why we didn't play it, but anyways, we can read it together. It's on 223. Avyaktadini bhutani. Please understand that Bharata means, we've split it before. Bha means knowledge, Rata means reveler. When he continuously says Bharata, Bharata to Arjuna, he's saying it to all of humanity. See, whether they generally, like, we like to pep ourselves up that we are born on that soil. Most of us must be born in India, where the greatest rishis have been born. It's almost like this knowledge is our inheritance. But if you expand into the idea of Vasudeva Kutumbakam, where Atma is only one, bodies are many, then this knowledge that we are eternal is innately within us. There's no way that we don't know it. The amount in chapter 3, beautifully Krishna describes of the covering that covers. Is it a thick covering, like the womb, which takes time for the baby to be shown? Is it a covering that needs an effort, like dust on the mirror, you have to little bit scrub? Or is it just some smoke on a little bit of fire, and you just do like this and you can see the fire? Very nicely. I love that's one of my favorite shlokas in chapter 3. So what he's saying over here is that innately, Bharata means whenever you hear Bharata, please, this is another thing I wanted to iterate very strongly. Whenever in the Gita you hear Bharata, please tell yourself very strongly, I already know this. I just have to remember it. Nothing that is being said in this class or in any other class, nothing that is being said by Swami Chinmayananda or Swami Tapovan Maharaj or anybody else that you hail as a great scholar or a teacher, is something that you do not already innately know. You know it. And the proof we discussed in the last class, the very fact that we feel that we are never going to die. And yet we get shocked when we die or somebody dies. Why does the shock come? Because our innate knowing is we cannot die. Why would we die? We take that forever for granted. Now, if we could only fully understand this one thing, is that what we are talking about is my Atma is eternal and that Atma is me. I am that. I can never die. Hold on to that. Please don't shift this innate knowing to my body is eternal, this circumstance is eternal, my husband is eternal, my wife is eternal, my this child is eternal. No, 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 no. Shift it. These are mere manifestations coming in and out. But who I am will remain forever. And that will start changing how you interact. I don't know how many of you all have heard that anniversary song thing that I put in the group chat. Listen to it. That is what we have to do with our life. It needs spiritual common sense to understand whatever stands in front of us, even this class, even this panel, is but a momentary, fleeting, temporary manifestation. Give it your all. When I keep saying, come with your whole selves, come with your faces, come with your videos on, I know it's night, I know there's a lot to be done, so I don't hold you up for it. Give every moment your all. When you give every moment your all, there's no regret left. My very good friend who's a death doula, you all must have heard of birth doulas, right? Who bring children into the world. There's a new profession, wildly famous in the US now, which is called a death doula. These are professional people who help terminally ill people, not only to people who are dying, they work with them to understand what life was, to make peace with it. It's a beautiful profession, very gut-wrenching profession. But again and again, what she's told me is that few are those who, on their deathbed, are in full acceptance. And you know what the singular reason for that is? That acceptance is. To the best of their capacity, they have lived every moment to the fullest. She said, the other half, that is not dying peacefully, is full of regrets. We send our children off to university, right? I've seen very few mothers who dance when those children have gone. Thank God they've gone. Why are they able to say that? Because they've given them their very best. And this I've done a research because I do a lot of one-on-one counseling. I've done a research. Those who are unable to handle that duri, there's 1,000 regrets. I should have spent more time. I should have done this. I should have done that. Even if you are a working woman, if you understand in your mind, oh, dad, why only woman? We have to get into the whole equal thing, right? Let's go with that. Any parent, okay? If you have given your child, despite your work, quality time that has contributed to that child's evolution in the material world, and like we discussed in the last class, especially in the spiritual world, set them free. They have to go. There's going to be no regret. So that is what this particular shloka is saying, is that out of nowhere, you're born. Think about it. 50 years ago, 30 years ago, however old you were you there? No. It almost, when I think of it, I get shivers down my spine. I'm like, how dare, who rolled the dice and put me here in this family? You know, nowadays Gen Z keeps saying, I never asked to be born. I'm making a post on that. If only they studied the Gita. It's a common thing. Most parents are coming to me and saying that the child is saying, I've never asked to be born. So you deal with whatever I am. You are the one who brought me here. Think about it, literally. There's one part of it that is true. The other part is not true. But we have come out of nowhere. Do you know? Please ask yourself again and again, where was I before this? And I've gone through 1 million past life regressions. I still don't have my answer. Is this for sure that this is where I've come from? No idea where we've come from. No idea how our parents are our parents. No idea. Then, okay, at least birth and all, theek hai, yeah, you've come out of somebody's womb. All respect. Marriage. No idea how you met. And if all of you just sit with your own marriages and see how you all met out of the blue, you know, like suddenly this person did not exist if you've been married for 26 years, say 30 years. Before that, Please let alone if you all were like childhood sweethearts and all. Before that, before you met this person, did you even know this person existed? Suddenly, this person comes into your life and it becomes your every all. He, she, whatever it is. And the attachment, and the anxiety, and the stress. Child, 22 years ago, I did not know this child who I would name Pooja at some point. 18 years ago, I did not know this child who I would name Krishna. And today, that child has become the be all and end all of my anxiety, my stress, my worry. How? We have to keep asking ourselves this question. My teacher always says, please look at life as a bridge. Okay? That you're just meant to cross over. Yes, you have to have a lot of fun. You have to enjoy your good karma, your good prarabdha, as much as you have to suffer your bad prarabdha. Nobody escapes that. You have to have a good time, but you cannot in any right mind try to pitch a tent on top of that bridge. I'll say it again. We cannot pitch a tent on that bridge. If we understand this shloka, all beings are unmanifest. Please understand that word again. Unmanifest means we are something. It's not saying we are nothing. We are that Atma. We are unmanifest. Out of that unmanifestation, temporarily one bubble comes out. Divya, Guru, Basuprada, Rohitji, me. Temporarily. These are the people who I can see on my screen. That's why I said their names. Anyway, so we temporarily come from the unmanifest. We don't know where we've come from. Now we are here, dancing away. And then we are all going to be gone, for sure. Not we, these names are going to be gone. Today, if I ask you, please state your father's name, very confidently you will state your father's name. Please state your grandfather's name, very confidently. Please state your grandfather from 15 generations ago. Please, any of you can? Can you? Please know, 15 generations from here, even your own people will not know who you are. What are we getting attached to? Come from we do not know, dancing here for a moment, and we're going to go into we do not know. But what we do know, thanks to the Gita, is this whole theory of reincarnation. That there is Atma, which we eternally are. Out of this Atma comes a conglomeration of body, mind, intellect, vasanas, a small amount of time. It comes with a set prarabdha. When that prarabdha is over, this particular conglomeration dissipates again into the unmanifest for something else to come forward. So we've learned the body dies, the mind, the intellect, the vasanas are going ahead. They will be born again till we decide that no more, enough of this. And we take up that path of renunciation, true renunciation to the ultimate. What do we have to focus on right now? We are here. We focus on we are here temporarily. Make the most. And why we need to make the most of spiritual knowledge? Because you are in it. You have come to contact with it. There are millions who haven't. So now for you to take this and chuck it away is a bit of wastage of time, which God will not interfere in. Atma or cosmic laws will not interrupt. You have come here today not because this life has presented anything. Those were just triggers. You are here today fully for countless lifetimes have prepared you to study the Gita. Now, Bharata, you have seen the futility of the world, albeit in small snippets. Bharata, you have seen that no matter what you do in the world, you are not going to feel complete. Bharata, through countless lifetimes, you have been awakened to the truth that there is something far greater in you, that you are. Merging with that is what puts an end to this. Self-realization is not going to happen in this birth. It may. I can't say that. Or in the next birth. It may take us countless more births. That's not for us to see. But now that we see, we cannot unsee. It's not possible. That you have started seeking is not because somebody died in your life, not because somebody, like for a long time, I had really a really, really bad stepmother, very bad stepmother. And it was a defense mechanism or it was a survival tactic or whatever. I was in spirituality right from the age of 7. That's a different matter. But it was something I used to keep telling myself that I'm going to do Sashtang Namaskar to her because of her, I am doing this full time. Because of her, I have found this path. Because of her, I am where I am, Until my teacher actually shook me up and said, this was just a trigger. Please don't make something that is not right with the spiritual bypassing. Please call it out. It was bad. It should have never happened. You would have been on this path anyway. That was just a nimitta matra. So what we need to understand is your spiritual life, even in this life, if it has got you because of a reason, like we've studied the 4 reasons why anybody comes to spirituality. I'll give you a quick recap. One is they're in grief. Something bad has happened and they were looking for answers. So they come to the halls of spirituality. Krishna says, excellent. At least they're not going and drinking. Very good. My devotee. The next reason would be they have enough and they want more. Krishna says, excellent. They're coming and doing yajnas and pujas. They're not sitting and gambling or trying to, loot somebody. My devotee. The third is curiosity in the subject. Okay, I know all of this. I just want to know what more is there. The first initial, interest in the subject. Krishna says, great. At least they're not going and looking for more academic subjects in the world. They've turned to spirituality. My devotee. Then he says the 4 is the only one who is my true devotee. I'm never lost to him. He's never lost to me. She's never lost to me. Who's just come for me. Now, whatever reason, and for me means what? Not for Krishna, that I want to love Krishna and take Krishna on my lap. No, 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 no. Come to understand I am not the body. I am not the intellect. I am not the mind. I am not my vasanas, but I am caught, irrevocably caught in this samsara that's making me agitated. Because of that agitation, I'm not able to focus on the truth who I am. Enough. I want the truth. I want that merger. I want that as my ultimate goal. That is why I am here. Now, for us to travel from whatever reason, first three reasons has brought us here to there, it's going to take time. But the good news is we're here. Now it behooves us for us to take it further and further. So coming back to the shloka, this is beautiful analogy that is there. It's in all spiritual literature, and we've used it in our book as well. We brought in the ocean. Okay, what he's basically saying in this particular shloka. The ocean is there. From that ocean, one wave. If any of you all have gone ocean gazing, if you all haven't, please put it as a homework in this summer vacation. Any ocean, Jersey Shore, wherever. I've spent so much time in that. I forget what it's called, but Coney Island or something, I don't know, somewhere. Okay, anyways. So just go to the shore, just sit there. Why you have to go and sit there? To understand this shloka. And stare at the ocean. Okay? When you stare at it now, you'll understand what the shloka is saying. The ocean is there. There are ripples. From that ocean, one wave will suddenly arise. It will dance. It will actually dance for a while. And when it's finished that, it goes back into the ocean. You cannot identify that ocean as its singular individuality when it's gone and crashed back. If you go to Hawaii, Honolulu, there's this place called the Surfer's Island, Surfer's Paradise or something. I have never seen larger waves in my life. I really haven't seen huge waves. And what a dance they put up. Oh my God, it's to reckon with. But no matter how huge they are, no matter how fantastic they are, even if it's a tsunami, it has to crash back, right? This is what this verse is saying. Brahman, Atman is the substratum that we are. Please keep telling ourselves, we are that, we are that, we are that. Brahman is the substratum. From that Brahman, one wave, which is we right now, appears. We dance for a little while and we go back down. Please, for our sake and for this panel, to come back again. There are seriously students of mine who are scared of self-realization. They're like, are you kidding me? We love this life. We want to do it again and again and again. How fantastic. Why would we want to not have life anymore? And there is a truth to it. The greatest of masters have said we will come back again and again and again for the upliftment of human consciousness. But why are they coming? Because they're plugged into the right reasons and they have no agitation, what the world causes. Absolutely no agitation. If we can get rid of our agitation, this life, whatever it is right now, we will enjoy it thoroughly. So to understand that analogy of the ocean, it's all coming from there. It's all going back into that. And there is absolutely nothing to grieve about. So he says that. So why grieve? His last sentence is, why would you grieve for such a phenomenon that nothing or nobody can stop? There's no way you can stop this. Even in your seasons right now, somebody, I don't know whether in this class last week or in another class that I teach. Anyways, they were like so happy. Oh my God, it's spring. Right? Spring has come. Yay. They're so happy. But guess what? Very quickly, with the bat of an eyelid, after that spring is going to come summer. And God knows you're going to have heat waves. That's what's been predicted. Like horrible heat waves, which we will grumble about. And then there's going to be fall, which will be, yay, it's fall, beautiful colors. And then there's going to be winter again. And then a long drawn winter. Is there any escape from this? Unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. Unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest. Why grieve? The whole focus of the Bhagavad Gita is to take our minds away from death and plug it into life. Because in this life alone, we can do something about future births. And what do we have to do to end the class on this thought? Purify our mind, strengthen our intellect. You can write this down actually. Purify our minds. What is our job over here? Purify my mind, strengthen my intellect. Also, you might ask, what means purify my mind? That my mind becomes less and less agitated. The highest definition of sin, papa, in Vedanta at least the way we teach Gita, is agitation of mind. If you have too much agitation of mind, you might be the best Samaritan in the world, but you are sinful. You are a sinner. So purify the mind, reduce the agitations. We will learn how through the Gita. Second thing is strengthen the intellect. We've done the chariot analogy. We'll bring it back again onto the floor because that is something that once you master that, you'll understand what's happening in your life. Strengthen the intellect. Make sure buddhi is always in the driver's seat of your life, not wild emotions. And there's one more quote that I should caution you to. There was this beautiful picture that went around on WhatsApp where there is an image of a brain and there is an image of a heart. It is the cutest thing. I wish I can find it again to send it. Or maybe I'll draw it. So there's an image of a brain and there's an image of a heart. And the quote with that went, always follow your head, your brain. And then the brain is pulling the heart. But don't forget to take your heart along with you. So we are not dismissing our emotions. We are very much taking care of our emotions, but the buddhi leads the way. So strengthen that intellect and reduce, purify, and channel your vasanas. Please, please start today. I don't think anybody on this panel right now is below an age where they cannot do that. Please do that. And how? We will study bit by bit. So purify the mind, strengthen the intellect, focus on your desires. May the desires reduce. May the desires become more noble. And may the desires be channeled in the right direction. Okay. With that, let's just quickly close the class. So sitting up straight, gently closing your eyes, take a deep breath in. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amrutangamaya. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May the Gita lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from mortality to immortality. Peace, peace, peace. This is what the shloka means. Thank you very much.